Yo, yo, what is good? Hey, Dania, Ahmed, and Inevitable MMA. What's up, friends? That song that we had going for the intro, still riding out right now a little bit, is called Money by Tentendo and Honey. I was actually looking for a different song, and this ended up popping up on my Spotify, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I was like, all right, let's vibe. I'm throwing on a mix by this DJ. It's like lo-fi house / breaks kind of vibe. It's by DJ Maybe. So if you go on SoundCloud, type in Truth Radio, and then DJ Maybe, should be the first thing that comes up. It's a 41-minute mix. So I might need to throw on something after it, but we'll give it a go. I've listened to it a couple times on the way to work, so it's certainly a vibe. All this time you thought I was a frog. You know, you never know. Maybe I'm like the Prince Charming. He just transforms back and forth, but let's get into the charts here. Cool. Alright. So, BTC, kicking it off with the usual. As always, we are looking pretty good. Or at least the past couple of weeks of every time we stream, it looks pretty good. However, we did have a strong day. We're about up 4%. Hopefully we can hold this, get the daily close around there. We are well above the 200 EMA. It's starting to curve up, so that's looking pretty bullish, I think. Ultimately, what I would like for May is slowly kind of like a pullback here. Obviously, probably is not going to be like straight line down, but I think what you could see is if the 200 EMA catches up here, you get a kind of retest bounce, probably fall underneath, fake out your moving average traders. Jeez, my words today. Thank you for the sub. And then probably reclaim it, and then we can look higher. I do think you'll at least get B out of this harmonic because it's a bearish harmonic. We could potentially go up and put in your confirmation high, but the PCZ is really here. You do have another imbalance up here, so maybe like 30K is like a brick wall. You come up, you test that, and then you drop FEG correctly and where to put the stop. Please show an example on the graph. Sure. Well, this is like a high time frame FEG that I have marked out. It's on the daily, or it might even be a weekly one. No, it's a 3-day. Yeah, that's what we did 3-day last week. So yeah, ultimately, it's going to take time, probably all of April into May before you really, maybe over the summer, June, we get higher. But again, since it's a bearish harmonic, this would be like your first TP level, which again, you can kind of see how we have some value there. I'll dive right into that in a sec, Donnie. I just want to quick mark up. This would be like your TP2. I don't know if maybe we'll get a pullback that deep. I think personally, I would be bidding that like crazy. You have a market structure shift on the 3-day. You have a 3 tap of the lows. So like if you do, let's say, get like a heavy sell off, like we do retrace, like I will be bidding this like crazy. Stop here, like, and then you get wicked out, like so be it. But like the R to R, the setup, like it would be excellent. So yo, Alito, it's good. I was just talking about this potential like 3 tap if we come down for TP2 of this bearish harmonic. But again, TP1 I definitely think is a given unless like we show immense strength here and we end up just invalidating the harmonic. It could happen, but I do like it. So we'll see what we get. Ultimately, Donnie, you were asking before about like a setup. So like for example, if something that I trade a lot, and I know Tyler, one of the other traders at Chroma, and some other people too, trade quite a bit. It's called a unicorn, where basically you have like your breaker. So that would be your breaker, which is supply turned into demand, or vice versa. This is your FEG on the daily, and you can literally just play this because you have your market structure break here. Let me mark that up. We talked about this actually one of the streams. If you go back, I think like 2 weeks, maybe 3, you can see this setup we did in the moment. Let me just move that. Yeah, so you would ultimately like bid here, and then you would stop here. Probably you could also give it wiggle room, but like ultimately you want to play like below breaker. Maybe I go like this wick or something, and then like I would have been targeting PCZ, so that could have been like a 3R. But yeah, that would ultimately be like how you can play an FEG. I always bid like where the edge of it is. Sometimes you get fills like this, sometimes you get bigger fills. What you could always do is size down and do maybe like, if you normally risk 1% per trade, you do like half risk, and then if you get like a further push down where it doesn't invalidate your trade idea, then you could bid more to get a better entry average. So it really depends on the person, but that is how like you would use FEGs. FEGs are basically just gaps between candlestick to candlestick. It's a 3 candlestick pattern. You can look anywhere on your charts for them. But like for example, up here, because there's no gaps, there's no fair value gap. We're just consolidating. So hopefully that helped. If you don't know what a FEG is, it's basically just an imbalance in price. Another name for it is a fair value gap. Very like SMC trader stuff, or ICT, whatever acronym you want to pick. Same stuff. But yeah, I am high time frame, still very bullish on BTC. I could see us potentially being like a 3 rising valleys. Short term, ultimately, I think until you really break this range, I guess like for me, it's pretty straightforward. This is how I would be defining it. Just like that's your range high, that's your range low. I wouldn't even count that as like a deviation, just like a liquidity grab. Wait for like a proper deviation, and then I would be looking to get short. I'm sure if you did like the fixed range volume profile, it would be even more accurate, but you know, this looks pretty clean to me. Very range bound assets for the time being. So let's dive into ETH. I know a lot of people I've seen lately a lot of people talk about being like, oh, I want to, or interested in getting in on ETH longs and stuff, but we'll look at ETH to BTC in a bit and see if that makes sense. But we are holding above range highs, which is bullish. You are outside value areas, so as long as we don't fall back in here, like if we fall back in, you're probably going back down here, fill us in balance, probably dip below this and then reclaim it. But if you can hold above here, easy target right above, buy side liquidity here. You do have this internal one at 19, like 57. Might be a good place to take off like 80% profit. But I do think, like, again, high time frame, I'm super bullish on this thing until you get up here. I saw Tyler did a post on Twitter the other day that was actually really interesting. He had this fair value gap as like, or I don't know if it was the monthly one. Oh yeah, it was. I think so. I think he had like this massive like fair value gap being like almost like a bearish unicorn setup. Yeah, because you have your, it would be like, I guess that's like your, you could say that's your breaker, your failure. I wouldn't even do like the wick because it's kind of busted, but I mean, it's not necessarily like a it's not a way, it's like a tool. It's never 100% hit rate. Like you don't, and you use it more for like order flow, trend as a point of interest. Like I use it a lot for entries when you get like, if you go down to like M1, you wait for like retracements back after a market structure break. But like a fair value gap itself isn't going to make you money. It's just a tool. Yo, follows, what's up? Didn't even notice. But yeah, ETH holding above here is definitely bullish. Again, we're just kind of range bound like BTC. I'm not really expecting too much until we kind of make a decisive move. I'm trying to think, like, how would I even do like my low time frame range on ETH, or like this little mini one outside of it? I guess something like that. But like, ultimately, I'm more concerned with holding, whether it holds value area high, like 1700 basically. So keep your eyes out, be cautious. I know there's some news later this week. Let me actually quick check what day is that specifically. I think it's been a pretty quiet week besides that. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, there was just like some orange stuff. Unemployment claims tomorrow at 8:30, final GDP for quarter over quarter. So that'll be interesting. And then you also have the PCAE price index month over month on 8:30 on Friday. So you will get some interesting price action tomorrow New York time before New York session. So definitely we'll see what happens. But I am in the midterm, I would say bullish, or let me fix that. Short term range, midterm bearish, long term bullish. And by long term I mean like next couple of months, unless things really change. But I think once you, I don't, if we lose 19.5 or even like really the daily trend for more than a couple days, like without reclaiming it, something like that, like then I'm concerned. But for now it's good. Let's go to ETH BTC. So far the zigzag has been pretty on point. Ultimately I am just expecting it to probably like chop range slowly down more. We talked about last week this kind of, yeah, and also notice here now we're kind of fighting to like stay inside value area. Maybe we come down, take sell side liquidity, pop back up, get rejected off the point of control, which is, I think it's so fascinating. The point of control is literally right at pretty much the EQ of the actual massive range that we've had for like months. So it's a very well, probably one of the cleanest ranges I think crypto has seen, and for at least its size, it's very well played. But the thing is, now you've deviated both sides, so it's like, what's next? Danya, there are plenty of resources in Chroma, if you remember. There's also, I'm sure, tons of stuff on Twitter if you look. But again, people use it in tons of different ways. But it is mainly just a way to show an imbalance in price as it had not traded there or given buyers / sellers, depending on if it's a bullish or bearish candle, the opportunity to buy or sell. But yeah, slowly downtrending. Probably, I don't think ETH's really going to get any sort of major uptick till probably July. I think you'll get like waves, but again, I think BTC is still king. However, once we deviate, I would say, this range again, or even tap range lows, that's when I'm going to start being interested in changing my tune a little bit. But again, this is the weekly chart. Like, this will take quite a bit of time. Sit back. Like, we'll be here next week, the week after that. Ultimately, though, what I would want to see here, kind of, if we're talking about, like, what's the plan next, is potentially maybe, yeah, you do have kind of, let's say, like, here, you have, like, your breaker. You have a fair value gap, so you could play, like, a bearish unicorn if it comes back up to the EQ. I'd probably have, like, a stop up here, maybe above here if you want to be extra safe, and then you could short down to, I'd probably say full fill of this, but or maybe even the weekly 200 EMA, depending upon where it's at. So that's ultimately what I'd be waiting for if you trade ETH to BTC. I don't think most people do. It's more of just a indicator to see where the trend is and what's stronger. Now, most of the crypto trader's favorite part, we're going to just quickly run through some different alts. All right. Alphabetically, as always, just what's on my watch list. If people have requests, you can drop them in chat. Sometimes I add them to my watch list, and then in future times we go through it. And as always, happy to answer any either specific questions or more generic stuff. But we are holding this low. Didn't even, kind of was a little bit above it when we popped, but what I do like about this is we are showing some nice displacement on that pump. You left it in balance. There's a couple areas where you could look as like a high, depending upon the fair value gap, like that gets left behind, where you could look to play it. Because again, especially the one thing you also want with unis is you want like a sweep of the opposing liquidity before it moves away. So this is perfect in my opinion. You could look for, depending upon how this candle closes today, I would even say, because like let's say you, I think here, like if you do that and then you were to be like, oh, I mean, I would probably play right there, and then stop loss, like where would it strategic? I would only be shooting for the 245 for like a 2R. Yeah, I guess like right around there, and probably go a little bit earlier. So yeah, something like that. Because that, for me, my invalidation is ultimately like this breaker, but I give myself wiggle room, and it's also slightly below this like breaker, you could argue. So it should, and that's below the EQ of it. So like really, if it's bullish, it should just tap here and bounce. But it's kind of being like discretionary in terms of what I would be looking for along with it. So I'll leave this. Again, like I don't really trade crypto anymore. I should get back into it. Hopefully my game plan is over the summer when I have like time every day to like sit in front of the chart and stuff, and I'm not working because I teach, so I have summers off. I plan on doing like VCs with Chroma and doing some live trading every day, or not every day, but probably a couple times a week. So that'll be exciting, and I'll probably get back into more crypto trading and whatnot. So yeah, that's Algo. APT, let me go back. And that was on the 12 hour. I don't know. I think I just did it because the daily wasn't really providing as much information. Yeah. But it looks good. It's up 15% on the day, so I would expect some continuation there. I don't even know if there might have been news or something. But we also have APT. This trend line liquidity is slowly increasing. I don't know if you'll break it next time, but ultimately I would be waiting for it to get above 1330 to look for longs. You flip 1330, then you could, in my opinion, be looking for 16.7. I think 16.7 and 20 like 5 would be my two targets for short term, and then you could look for fib extensions for the higher values. ASTR on daily is kind of, again, like just chopping around right now. I might even take this off my watch list. I know it was hyped for a little bit. The one thing I do like, it is holding this daily 200 EMA. It actually had a nice impulse off the bottom of it for 6%. So, I mean, if you can hold above this is pretty bullish. So might be worth paying attention to. Atom, this one I actually do want to talk about. I think this is one of the few alts that I will be paying very close attention to next cycle. Whoops, sorry. And that's because, like, this thing, harmonics, is insane. The play I'm kind of looking for, I think, for basically is buy like a bunch of spot, long-term stop loss like below here, which would invalidate this harmonic as well, or like come close to it. I forget how I determined it, but I can always adjust it. But again, 17R, this is like talking long-term spot bags. I'd ultimately be targeting the 1618 of what it did previously for roughly like $69. This should be a 629% gain to risk for 35% downside. So I think the R to R is worth it. Obviously don't all in, but I definitely think if you're patient and you can have some money that you could put in spot bags, this is one I would pick up. BNB. Oh yeah, but just a quick recap though with this, it's pretty much just turning down. We are below 200 EMA, but again, we're just waiting for these lower prices. Once it gets below 10, I'll look to start getting in, and just kind of DCAing until, like, with either this as my invalidation, or if you get above 10, I'm just gonna leave the bag alone and look for that like 7x. So, all right, that's Atom. BNB. Not really doing a ton. I mean, probably come back and test the 200 EMA again. I would say you're almost like ranging here. Yeah. So yeah, probably come back, retest it, maybe like range, do some more stuff. But it wasn't perfect, but you could almost argue if you're looking at more like level to level, this high here, you had a wick, and then you had your 1, 2, and then like 3, super clean. So just interesting. Doge, again, super bearish on. There's no point in me even getting interested in longing this or buying any bags of it until 2 cents basically. At that point, I would maybe buy like a couple $100 worth just for fun. Because at 2 cents, like if you set some stink bids or maybe even like 20, 2.5 or whatever, like it's not gonna be perfect, but somewhere down there, and then like you hold that for like these relatively equal highs. What would that be? I gotta see if I think Coinbase has Doge, right? Because that's where I hold all my spot. I don't really buy spot on Bybit. Okay, good. They do have it on Coinbase. Okay, cool. Because like ultimately, yeah. So I'd probably, if you were to do it, something like that, just front run everyone. Stop loss. Where's my stop loss gonna be? Oh wait, oops. I did it too big. Oh, 09. There we go. So I'm looking at like a 64% L. This would be like probably my first take profit. 1,256 R. I mean, and again, a slight like copium with this, but I do really like the harmonic. I do like the position of the PCZ. So I have some alerts set for once we start breaking below this low. I'll probably deposit some cash and set some spot bids and just wait, because I do think, again, that's a great opportunity with, like, again, if it actually is going to die, like, so be it. I'll lose like 60%, but I ultimately think it's probably bouncing, and then you come back up in range here for a couple months, and then, or maybe a year or two, and then if you're gonna really get a true cycle again where we go higher, maybe finally to that dollar mark, like this is not a bad price to get in on. You could theoretically, if you really like had the diamond hands, whatever, like hold this for like a 4,000% gain if you played it, like hypothetically what I'm saying. But yeah, definitely interesting, the harmonic. And again, like it's gonna take weeks, months to play out, so like if you want to wait and see, I'll be here and hopefully still streaming to let you know how it works out. If we ever get those lows. LDO honestly looks like a head and shoulders pattern. Above 197 looks bullish, but you are basically just ping-ponging in between these two. Nothing really interesting here for me. Link, another one like there. Oops, jeez, I did not mean to do that. Clicked the wrong thing. There we go. Link is one of the ones alongside Sushi that just doesn't do anything for me. It's just range, like absolutely nothing. I mean, yeah, could it be great to accumulate for the long term? Sure, you're almost back above the daily 200 EMA, 3 days lingering above. There's no weekly, at least not on this perp chart. Maybe you have it somewhere with like, oh my god, this is disgusting. I don't want this. Hold on. I'm trying to change these all. There we go. This is some harmonic from way back when. Because I started with spot. I used to just trade in Coinbase spot, and I couldn't like short, but this is ultimately like how I marked up my chart. Yeah, so I don't even have the same range drawn. This is more ice lines from like in the past, but you can see how well they still get respected for the most part. I think it's more interesting the lows here. It's like tap, 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 tap. It's perfect. You come back up, tap. Harmonics in short, sure. I do have a PDF I still have to finish. I apologize a lot for that's not out yet. I just secured like a new apartment to move into in August, and I'm working on getting a job set up because I'm moving states. So I will eventually get around to releasing that publicly, but harmonics are essentially just fib retracements. So if I go to like BTC, for example, just because it's one that I have open, actually, let me do the one on Atom, because that one actually played out. So this is basically a cipher pattern. So basically the way it would work is like you have your X goes to, I don't know why it's not letting me hook it on lower. Oh, there we go. Yeah, like so X goes to there and then goes to that level, and then we retrace to the 447. Then from there you go from, if I were to do like the other way around, I would have to I think do it like this. Hold on. Trying to fix it. Yeah, there we go. This is like the, or it's different because it's with the cipher tool versus the Gartley, but ultimately it's just fib retraces that within certain confines they create these identifiable patterns called harmonics, and then ultimately at the completion of it where you have your D, that's where you usually look for reactions, and then from there you can target usually B, A, and C, or like vice versa if it's bearish, if it's just flipped upside down. And then from there it's just like, I wish I had better examples. Hold on one sec, let me like skip through this because in the background like the voice was like messing with me while I'm trying to talk. But yeah, you can see like at the PCZ, if you had bought and had your stop loss below X, And you can predict where, because it's always like the D is so this is always a 786 for ciphers, and it went to the 796, which is like pretty close to textbook. But you can see, like, had you targeted like the previous high, 261 gain for 12% loss for 20R, and like obviously we went higher, but like that's ultimately like how they work. And there's other examples I'm sure I can find. Like Soul, this is a pretty good example that's still in the works. But this is a butterfly where you get a 786 on the X to B. This can be anywhere between a 382 and an 886 for this leg. This isn't as important though. If it's like something crazy, it's usually not valid. And then this needs to be a 1618 to I think a 1272 to a 1618. So this is like perfect. And then you had your PCZ, your confirmation low, and then for the ones like this though, where D extends below X though, it's kind of hard to say where your invalidation would be, but you can see we had the reaction after the confirmation low. So I would still consider this in play. I actually think we're going to get to it in a few minutes. I just have like Matic and stuff to look at, and then we can talk more about targets for that one. Yo, Platty, what's good? What's my view on Atom? Extremely bullish for long term, but if you rewind the video or watch it back later, I already looked at that, so I'm just going to keep going for now. I use previous prices to pin all points. Yes, so it always should be swing lows and swing highs. So this is a perfect example of something I was talking to members in Chrome about. Someone had a request for Matic on H4 and daily. So something I was talking to them was like, hey, you have like kind of like your demand block where you had your market structure break. And some people may be like, oh, this is a market maker sell model, your original consolidation, reaccumulation, smart money reversal, distribution, redistribution. Like, yes, it's 100% that. Like, and this would be your original consolidation that you're going to break below. Then you're going to hit your PCZ on your harmonic, and then you're going to absolutely face melt and rip and do your market maker buy model. Like, it's everything, like all those different, and like I'm sure all throughout like that whole thing you'll have like PO3s. Like here, someone could be like, yo, dude, you have your accumulation, manipulation, expansion, like all the different like trading things. Like everybody looks at the market and they're looking at different price action in a bunch of different ways, or it's the same price action but in a bunch of different ways. So newborn killing me tomorrow. Aw, sorry to hear that, man, but hope all is well with you. But yeah, no, so for example, ultimately with this is a specimen. Like you have a nice POI for price. I want to see this eventually trend down, pop back below sell side, so lose this 200 EMA, hit your 886 because this would be a shark. I usually use sharks blue. I kind of color code them a little bit just so I know, and when I post charts it's a little easier to follow. Sharks are blue, so I would want to see this take these two sell side liquidity levels. I'm sure on the weekly, yeah, there's a fair value gap on the weekly. There's also one here. I don't know if you'll get the deeper one, but definitely reason to come back down. And then from there, I would be targeting. You do have relatively equal highs here, so that'd be a good first target. Like you did technically sweep it, but sweeps like that, in my opinion, like they're still pretty smooth edges. So that would be like target 1, target 2 would probably be this high. And then target 3 would be ultimately the buy side liquidity here. So that is basically how you would play a harmonic. And like the way the price action may work is you may, once you get your reaction here, you may come up and then you may either make a lower low or a higher low, whatever. But usually on that second low, and I'll explain something in a minute, but on the second low, that's usually where you want to see the major reaction, where you get the real like reversal and then you climb and whatnot. But there are plenty of times I've seen it where it reacts from the PCZ and just rips and there's no confirmation left. So it's kind of like you got to see what price wants to do, what your confluence is with other like smart money concepts, stuff like that. But I do think it's also good to like bid the PCZ. So like again, if I was sizing this up, I would do something like this. Stop below X. That would be like your first target, second, third. So like realistically, you could get like 4.5 R. But then like let's say it comes back down, maybe then you have like a smaller, or maybe you went 3/4 on the first, and then you go like a quarter more risk on like something like this because it wants to come down and like sweep this low on your confirmation low before pumping. So then you got like two different trades going with different risk parameters, but like together they total 1% risk. So depends on the trader, but ultimately these are kind of a tool that I use as confluence alongside my understanding of like smart money concepts, ICT trading methods, stuff like that. Near, quickly, we'll chat about it. Looks relatively alright. It's kind of similar to Sol. I would say Sol looks 10 times better though, but again, it's the same harmonic structure, the same one that Doge is inevitably, in my opinion, shaping up for. So Sol, though, I think is great to talk about. We're doing a lot of really good stuff. You have your, I guess if you like tidy up your range a little bit now, so like that's probably how I would be looking at it given like what's happened. So you have your first tap of range highs, deviation of lows, pop up, break. I mean, there's no definitive market structure break on the daily here. Not like I mean, maybe you could argue like this as a swing high. Like or even this, like technically they are, because they're higher than the previous ones, but they're not like definable points in my opinion, at least on the daily. So, but yeah, ultimately I think here you have very good like risk parameters. I mean, if you want to play it super tight, you do that, target this close to like 3R, but I'd more so probably go below this low, or maybe I don't know, somewhere there, probably somewhere below $20, and I'd be targeting for these equal highs as like a swing. So, you know, we'll leave it, we'll see what happens, but I think that's like this is a magnitude. There's no way like price is not gonna like zip up to that eventually, those highs. It's too clean. So yeah, that's it. Sushi actually does look interesting to me. So this is like a perfect example of how to size up a harmonic. Notice how I'm doing it from all the swing points. So you have like the lowest low, highest high, where then that next lowest low is before going to the next highest value. And then like, so what would this be? This would be, all right, so you would have, oh my God, this is actually really nice. It's slightly more than it's kind of like a bat mixed with a Gartley, because you have the deeper retrace to like, it does go to the almost the 886 perfectly on the second one. It went to the 8618 here, or 868, which is again totally valid in terms of like hitting the 886, and then that would be like your confirmation low here. So yeah, this like, I don't think I would be interested in getting involved in sushi if you were to come down again. I mean, the only thing is now you've left like relatively equal lows. You have a bunch here. I'd probably even play it like tighter. I'd play it like here, because like if you're arguing like, hey, price ran the stops at D where people might have like initially longed, then like I don't think it should come back there. And then I'd probably just go for buy side liquidity. Again, like it's a very range bound thing. Yeah. One of the few ones I think that actually looks good though. What did we look at before? Holy cow. This thing really is I don't even think it's worth even saying like, oh yeah, bid this. Like it's gonna go. It really picked up the last hour. Yeah. Oh wow, look at this. This is on like the 4 hours, so again, smaller time frame. It's your 1, 2. All right, so this would be your cipher. Notice how we have a really clean. Hold on. Yeah, almost perfect to the 786, but look at that. Bang. So TP1 technically is like B, but it's so close here. It's not really like a good TP. So probably be looking for buy side liquidity here, which is right where your 4 hour 200 EMA is. So it's pretty close now. You basically missed the move, but I'm just showing you like what to look for. It should be like an M if it's bullish or a W if it's bearish. So that's that. Let's head on over to some regular schmegular market stuff. Looking at a ES, NASDAQ, Dixie. Yeah, so today was very interesting because I was not expecting this. I was actually caught a bit off guard. Am I still listening to the same mix? Oh, hold on. It's almost over. Let me find something else. Give me 1 second. Alright, yeah, let's try this. It's like some dub techno. I'll keep it kind of quieter end. Alright. But ultimately, I was expecting this to be like your typical market maker sell model. However, we closed back above this high that we had rated before. And it kind of begs the question, you're in the daily balance price range. Like if we flip this, I think that's pretty bullish and a little concerning for me because my I'm in a long on SPXU, which is an inverse ETF of ES. So that's on like a personal account, so it's a little bummer, but I think ultimately as long as this maybe deviates, you take this, hit the volume imbalance there, because I think something I was looking at last time, or 143, what would it be, 886, 78? 143, is that FEGs are top secret info? Oh my god, I love Tyler's fair value gap account. It's so much alpha. I gotta see something quick. Cipher, yeah, 141. So 143. This would be valid if we, and you could see a reaction like here, and this would be bearish, and then maybe you see it, because this was my bias originally. I'm starting to kind of shift tune. I don't know if it's quite gonna play out the way I was anticipating. And something that Pax, fellow trader, if you know him on CT, great guy. Dude, S for the secret sauce. But yeah, I was talking to Pax and he was mentioning this potential market maker buy model on NASDAQ. It's super clean. You have the SMT at the lows with ES. ES took the low. So this has been playing out very well. You had your low risk entry, accumulation, reaccumulation. Today I did a post in Chroma earlier today, because you have these equal highs that got set here, like here with this high up here. I'd been posting in Chroma about this. I was like, hey, this looks like a really nice potential unicorn on 4 hour, and I think it was like this candle, I think, but yeah, it was before it absolutely ripped here. I was like, oh, maybe we'll come back and retest it. Ends up, and I was like, oh, good short-term target H4 FEG, and then buy side liquidity. We didn't even give you the entry, it just ripped. So super bullish right now. Kind of retested, held that there. So that really for me, unless you're playing like order blocks on smaller time frame, that's more like the line in the sand for me for the intermittent term in terms of where I think trend's gonna go. Daily was a great close, and I do know, oh, that's tilted, sorry. I do know there's again, news tomorrow and Friday. So what I'm kind of hoping for, or what I would love to see, is kind of it rip up, take this, and then absolutely reverse. I think ultimately I'm kind of going to get, yeah, that's not looking too hot. I'm not going to lie. Unless the best course of action that I can hope for is that this happens outside of normal trading hours, and then like we've already reversed a bunch by the time tomorrow's New York session starts, and this like gaps up. But I might be kind of toasted on this one. But yeah, I took it as basically an inverse of a ES when we were like here. I think it was after we broke here. I think it was this day. Because I was like, oh, you're back below the daily fair value gap. It's going to be resistance. And then it did act as resistance the next day. And then all this week, it's just been coming back up. So, bit of a bummer, but always another trade. Going to look at Euro and then GU, and then we will take a look at Euro to GBP. Yeah, so I had mentioned this in Chroma. I was looking for this as kind of my point of interest on I think it was Tuesday's session, and ultimately we kind of got like your structure shift. It's not really like you didn't have any real break in structure, just a lot of choppy sideways search and destroy price action. Not search and destroy, that's game mode in Call of Duty. Seek and destroy, I think, is what ICT calls it. But yeah, I'd like to eventually see this turn into resistance and kind of start pulling back a bit. We'll look at Dixie too in a bit to kind of see how that lines up with that idea. This is technically a balanced price range. So I think ultimately that'll be kind of a big line in the sand for if this lower time frame harmonic plays out. It's on the H1. And because yeah, this is totally fine if that's what that is, and then this takes a bit longer to play out. You get your 786. I was originally looking at this as more of a magnet, but we did make a higher imbalance there, so we'll see what happens when we get to that area first before I look for this. But this could potentially be lucrative for shorts. Jumping over to Dixie before I quickly go to GU. Why I think that this will be a good opportunity to short Forex is because this low resistance liquidity run is screaming for the highs to be taken. Here I was talking about potentially looking for a reversal. We kind of got it, then got rejected off the new day opening gap. It's pretty contentious line in the sand for now. But I think ultimately, as long as your weekly fair value gap kind of keeps us afloat, I would like to see us eventually flip and then rip. Otherwise, if we're going to keep chopping here, you do have equal lows and sell side liquidity. Well, it's two kind of areas, but ultimately this one I think if you're going to fall and continue, you're going to take this one. So really needs to start doing something here. But even if it does fall and this kind of pushes up for another leg, it can go pretty high. Yeah, pretty much like you could even take this high here and it'd still be valid. So opportunity for shorts maybe a bit further up, but we'll see what Dixie gives in the coming days. However, I think if you flip this gap here, it looks pretty good for upside. Another one, good old GU. I've been monitoring this 3-tap range play mixed with a unicorn entry that we talked about on stream on March 15th. I still think this is a great place to look for continuation. It's right below the EQ of the range. It is a untapped daily fair value gap inside new demand that's merely been like wicked into. So I think ultimately if Dixie does go for that move finally up, I think this will pull back. You may even get a heavy pullback into this imbalance again, but I think this, if in a bullish trend, should act as support. So you don't want to see this get traded through with a close below for trend to remain intact. But as of right now, we are rating that high, so we'll see. But I think, again, relatively equal highs here, and the monthly fair value gap above are good high time frame targets. And like high time frame is obviously very speculative depending upon the trend you're trading, but in terms of analysis, I typically analyze like 4-hour daily, sometimes H1, and then like I do more of my actual trading. I'm starting to move away from M1 to like M5 and M15, but it's still basically like M1, M2, and I would say M5 are like my execution, with M15, H1, and H4 is like my midterm POIs, daily and weekly stuff as high time frame POIs. So yeah, it's GU. Euro to pound. Yeah, massive Gartley, starting to slowly arc down. Again, I think this could take till September. Could be till very very far. Could, if it nukes next week and we go down in May maybe. But 786 is the level 2 watch. This thing is mint. I do really like the structure. You have all this liquidity here. You have a I think that's a 3-day. No, maybe a 12-hour. I think it's a big 12-hour one, maybe. Maybe there's a 4-hour. I don't know. Is there anything on the weekly here? No. Not monthly. I don't know. Let me check 4-hour really quick. Sorry. I'm like curious now. I'm like, what time frame did I mark this up? But it is some sort of fair value gap. No, it's not even. Yo, what is this? It's called Resist and Reclaim by Stevio. Like Steevio. Let me turn this up a little bit. I'm like such a nerd with music sometimes. I'm literally just like geeking over like the most repetitive like noises, but yeah, no, this is definitely going to trend down. GU should be the one to look for longs, and EU for shorts on like your higher time frame stuff, but ultimately just check SMT for bias in terms of that. And yeah, we've gone pretty much full circle. You know, I really like that song in the very beginning. No, it's like too dissonant now. But I did like it for a second. It's like got me like perked up. I'll turn it over to you guys in the chat. Is there any requests in terms of assets? I do stocks. I'll literally look at it as long as it has a ticker on TradingView. Let's get Tesla in the meantime. Yeah. Something I was looking at, I think, with a standard deviation, if I did it correctly. Yeah. World Mobile Token, JKs. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, this got a reaction from pretty much the 786. Tesla is like beauty. Oh, know what I could look at? I was talking about it in chat with someone in Chroma. Oh wait, no, wrong one. It's the first one. Yeah. So this is just a USD JPY, really, really clean. I mean, maybe you can argue this is like that was your sell side liquidity and not this, like, or your original consolidation, because you are getting quite a bit of a reaction off this. Like, I would have probably wanted to have seen it. Maybe that's its top. And you're gonna leave equal highs. Yeah, so looking at this on 4-hour, like, this is super clean to me. Like, you came up, took this high, you have your original consolidation, reaccumulation. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's all subjective, or like the different stuff, or I mean, there are like some rules to it, but I just kind of mark it up with green and red, and then usually use fair value gaps for the second half, whether it be a sell model or buy model. Just my 2 cents. 1.2 incoming. Yeah, 1.2725. Yeah. I mean, maybe I feel like 2834 would be like a good first target, and then you could go for the big dog up there. But what is this? This is an old H4 FEG. So I guess like, cause like it's so clean. Like you had your smart money reversal, like didn't run away fair value gap because you didn't even come up to make it. Volume and balance that it rejected off of. Massive fair value gap that you literally rated the high on. Beautiful. Hold on. I'm like walking you through the price action. And then come down, continue breaking structure, fair value up here, kind of like wicked up, drop down. This is like, see, this is where I'm like not sure if I would consider this maybe on a small, maybe it's a fractal of like the more major one, but this to me looks like your silver bullet where you come up wicking and just straight to sell side liquidity. So a bit ambiguous, but if it does like the equals highs, it will be clean on the new buy side as well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like at this point, like for me, what I would want to see is like get a close back below that fair value gap, wait till like a 4-hour close, stop above here, and then like you can get I mean I think you could get really good R on it, and I might actually start getting into a swinging crypto. They're not crypto, sorry, jeez, I'm so tired. Forex. I watched kids take a test for 3.5 hours with no phone or computer. I literally just stood there and watched. It's like practice for the state exams, so we have to like simulate it as much as possible because like we can't have technology in the room with us. So it's crazy. Yeah, that looks pretty bearish, at least in the short term, but I am bullish on USD to Canadian, or I was on the 3-day. It looked like it was setting up for a play here and then nuke. So got to change tune a little bit. I mean, you do have the sell side here, which is literally right below it. Like, if you're looking for a good short-term target, you could say there. Maybe I'd be like cautious shorting it because like you're so close that it could honestly like come back up before coming down. So just be cautious. But I think we'll leave it at that. I don't really want to hypothesize too much on this till more happens, but I do like the market maker sell model on USD to Japanese yen. All right. Let's see. Anything crazy going on in crypto? Does not look like it. We pretty much looked at everything. This is rejecting off the 200, so we'll see again what tomorrow brings. Maybe a quick fake out tomorrow with the news in the morning and then short, but we'll see. I'm just hoping my trade on my personal account plays out, but yeah. Alrighty. If no one has any questions, I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you have the wonderful rest of your week. Got some value either out of just conversations that were had or monologues, I guess, because it's just me talking, but learned something, had a good time, and have a good one. Peace. Later, Platty.